Welcome to the Inner Athlete Podcast, where we discuss all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.
Welcome back to the Inner Athlete Podcast. I have a special guest here. I've got Gracie here. What's happened, Miss Clarkson? What's happening in your world at the moment?
At the moment, I've gotten back into pre-season training and it is not fun.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, Gracie is a soccer stud. Who are you playing for at the moment?
NTC Emerging. So it's
do you explain that a little bit more?
So NTC it's the Emerging Matildas program. It is you take the best of each age group and you play them up an age group. So I'm technically in the under-19s, but we're playing seniors.
Jeez. So you're in the 19 squad, but you'll play seniors, so you're playing open age.
Yeah.
Okay, so how's that experience so far for you?
Haven't played anyone seniors yet, so it'll be interesting.
So it's your first time doing it?
Yeah, first time in seniors.
Jeez, what was the excitement like when you found out?
Oh, I was so happy. I was bouncing off the walls.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right, let's backtrack a little bit. How do we get there? All right, so first of all, how did you get into soccer? I think that's probably the key thing. You know, obviously you're a sporty person, but how did you kind of like transition into soccer?
I hated the sport when I was younger. I
Really?
thought it was useless. I thought it was the most worst sport ever. But then one of my mates at primary school was like, kept pushing me for months, like, oh, just come play. So I played. Like, I did a few training sessions and I just fell in love with it. I was like, oh, so this isn't that bad. But yeah, I did like every sport under the sun before that. I did gymnastics, I did dance, I did basketball, I did everything. Mm-hmm. And then now I found soccer and I go like, oh, I actually kind of like it. Something that I'm like, I was more invested in.
How old were you when you found out?
10.
You're 10 years old?
10 or 11, yeah.
Okay, so because there's some soccer programs that start at like 4 or 5.
Yeah, I've got a mate started at 3 years old. She's one of my best mates.
Oh,
I
shit.
started at 3, so I've started at 10, so I was like really late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess the carryover of all the other sports and just being physically active in general. I think gymnastics would have been a real helpful one for you.
Yeah, I was a lot more flexible because whereas a lot of girls couldn't do much flexible stuff, so they got injuries time and time again from training at a young age, whereas me, the only biggest injury I had was severs because I was growing so much. Like my muscles, my bones were growing so quickly, my tendons and muscles didn't keep up. So I just had heel pain for a few years, but that was really it.
Yeah, it was 12, 13?
Yeah, 12, 13. While I was like, I had a huge growth spurt.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Well, there you go. That's the end of the podcast, everyone. That's the lesson. Do as many sports as you can when you're really young.
Exactly.
I think the lesson there is like because you played such a large magnitude of sports and you developed some different skills, movement patterns, different components of fitness as well, and also your flexibility. And you weren't so pigeonholed into one sport. And I think you know, chatting to your mum a while ago, she mentioned like you just tried everything under the sun, just did what you enjoyed, and eventually you know you'd find the thing that you'd enjoy the most.
Yeah.
And you kind of just doubled down in that as well. Then obviously starting soccer later, how did you go from that transition of, you know, playing soccer? Was it just more focused on enjoyment at that age, at 10, 11, 12?
Probably. When I hit 12, everyone wanted to go from community to MPL, so everyone wanted to make that jump to rep, and it's like all my mates wanted to go, and you kind of don't want to be the one left out, so I was kind of like, yeah, I'm a very competitive person, my whole family is, so it's like community was like everyone found it so chill. I wanted to like win, so I was like, we joined I think Bayside when I was 12. I was in this little SAP program. My mum has little photos of like little midget me running around, but I've always been like the worst in the team. Like I started at the bottom and I like worked my way up, so in that program I probably just made the cut. So when I made that was like my development into MPL, and that's how I made it to rep.
Do you think that was the blessing though, just being like, you know, someone who's really competitive but you were the worst, so you always were competing to be better than everyone else?
Yeah, I always feel like I've had this like luck on my side. Like even since I was younger, I always like just make a team even though I'm like the worst in my team, and I work my way up. I don't know how, but I like just make things, and I'm so grateful for it, and I just no, it's amazing. I like it.
It's still working.
It is.
Yeah, now you're the emerging Matilda, so...
Yeah, we'll work our way up there.
Yeah, we'll get there. So 12, 13, you make Bayside.
Yeah.
Then what's your trajectory like from there? Where do you go?
Oh, I left, then I went to South Melbourne because I got bullied at Bayside because all the girls they're bitches. But no, they weren't. They just at 12, everyone gets jealous. They weren't very friendly, so I got isolated. So I left, went to South Melbourne for I think 4 or 5 years, and now I've moved again to NTC.
Wow, and then before you've jumped before I did. What was South Melbourne like? Obviously, South Melbourne is kind of like rich in Victorian soccer history. It's one of the oldest clubs in Victoria. How was that then compared to like Bayside in terms of like the culture, the coaching, the playing style? What was that like? I guess, developing in their system.
It was like a family. Like everyone was so wonderful there. I got along with all the coaches, and I just felt like I actually belonged there. It was a lot better. Again, I was always the youngest there. I always played in harder teams. So as I grew up, I think when I got to under 15s, that's when COVID hit, round about then. I was the oldest and one of the best in the team, so I actually had to learn leadership skills, which is really cool. So South Melbourne always taught me how to lead, how to look after the younger girls, and I got a lot of development from there, which was really nice.
I think because you learned being at the bottom of your squad. I'm not saying in a bad way, but just being at the bottom. Yeah. And then obviously you kind of seen the leaders in the team, how they looked after you. Then obviously you had the coaches, and you're like, all right, you're 15 years old, you're the top of the squad, and now you've got to kind of like nurture those girls through. And then how's that leadership like kind of helped you in your own development?
Leadership has been good. I just feel like it's made me more of a confident player. I just feel like I take charge a lot more. It's given me a lot more confidence. I drive with the ball. I do new things I wouldn't normally do. And it's definitely like upped my game a lot more.
Do you think it's like, now the fact that you've been, I guess, dubbed the leader, whether it's like formally or informally by the players, do you feel like you have this more ownership on you to actually perform well on a daily basis?
I did. When you were like captain, you were expected to lead, always have a certain standard and stuff. So it came at a young age. It gave me a more professional attitude. So now I'm like, I don't like muck around as much anymore. I'm used to you sit there when training starts. Like warm up, you can have a chat, you have fun with your friends. When training starts, you focus. I go, you only get what? I only train 3-4 times a week, and then you have a game. You only have those 3-4 sessions. You want to make the most out of them. I've got the best coaches there. You got to use them. If you muck around at training, it's like you lose that time to improve.
Yeah. So how many hours a week were you training at the time? Or how many hours were you training at that time?
At that time, I say I would train. I'm doing math in my head. Oh my God, it's the first time on holidays I'm doing maths. I say training-wise, maybe 5-6 hours a week.
Okay, so 5-6 hours a week, then you're playing a game and you're with your team for, 2.5 hours. Yeah. On the weekend, right? So that's what, 5-6 hours, about 7.5 to 8.5 hours. Yeah. Maybe 9 max, right? It's 168 hours in the week. It makes it really relative how little time you actually have with your team. I don't know what that is in a percentage. It's probably like maybe 8% of your time, probably less than that.
You should be my maths teacher.
Nah, don't even go there. I was average. And the time that you do have, you really do have to extract as much value as you can. Yeah. So whether it is, you're working on drills, communication, your skills, with your teammates and the coaches, it's like you have such a small window. Then the idea is then you can carry that into the next session. Then you continue to build and build and build. Yeah. From there, then you develop that team cohesiveness, your own skills and competency that comes with that as well. So I think that's obviously a really good thing that South Melbourne have going. And then obviously we've got a few kids here that train at or play for South Melbourne as well. So it's kind of like, they seem to be doing something right in that sense. So skip forward a little bit more. So go through COVID. How did you keep up with your training during COVID?
I didn't.
Yeah.
I really didn't. I saw a lot of girls training online and they were posting their progress every day. Me, I was just sitting in my bed. I had my laptop on one side with my school going on. Everyone had their cameras off. No one put their cameras on during online school. And I watched a movie. It was probably absolutely terrible. My mum, she was going to tell me one day, she's like, you're going to thank me for this. And I actually do. She forced me to go for a run every single day. And I'd run around my block a few times and then I would come back and I'd be knackered. But that training kept me going. And then I found friends during COVID. By the end of COVID, maybe the last 2 months, I started playing with my mates. We would go to the park. It was 100% out of the two. When you had a 5K range?
Yeah, it was a crock of shit, but we won't go there.
We don't mention that to people. Yeah. Absolutely went out of the range. We played for hours a few times a day and it was so much fun. So I'm glad my mum pushed me to keep running during those times where I had no motivation at all. I felt like everything just felt so slow during COVID. Like I felt like I was confined to my own room, and I felt like a prison for ages. It felt like it was going to last forever.
It to some degree it did seem like that as well. But yeah, let's move on from that. All right, we're out of COVID. What happens next?
COVID. I'm trying to think.
So this would be what, end of 22?
21. Started 21 roughly. 21. Then we went into COVID for like a month or two. I hit maybe under 17s.
Yep.
Probably that. I was bottom age 15s. I'm trying to think. 13, 14. Yeah, I was around 15s as well. Yes, I was under 15s. I was leader. I think once I hit under 15s and I took that leadership, I developed a lot more as a player. I knew what I needed to do. Ever since then, when I hit bottom age under 17s, I was playing up an age group sometimes a week. I'd be training with the under 19s.
So you're playing 19s?
Yes, I was jumping a bit since then. Even in 15s, I'd train a bit with 17s. Bottom age 17s, I jumped a bit with 19s. And then last year, when I was top age 17s, I played 19s. I didn't play my age group.
Shit.
And now I jumped to seniors.
Seems to be a general trend right there.
Yeah, it just goes up, up, up.
Yeah, but then talk to me. So I think about that time. I think it was at the time. You've been here for over a year now. And talk to us about your ankle. So what happened there?
Bad tackle.
Yeah.
A really dodgy tackle.
So when was this?
A year and a half ago.
Yeah.
I played my arch nemesis team that I hate. I was trying to go for people's ankles. I rolled my ankle and I tore 3 ligaments in my right ankle. So much pain. I was in hospital for a bit. Not a bit, like for 2 hours, 3 hours. Waiting takes forever. Felt like a million years. But yeah, I tore 3 ligaments. Terrible. I didn't tear them clean. I teared them...
Partials?
Pretty well, so it was like holding on for dear life. So they healed quite nicely, and I was out for about 4 or 5 months.
Then what was the process like? So you had this upward trajectory in terms of your soccer career. Boom.
Yeah.
Ankle. Trying to take out your arch nemesis, right?
Yeah.
How do you get back from there?
Even before I did my ligaments, I've never broken a bone. I never sprained my ankle. I only had a swollen ankle. That was it. Before that, it was my first proper injury that I've ever done. And yeah, it was terrible. I couldn't walk. I was on crutches and a moon boot, thanks to my mum, for like a month. And that was really bad.
Yeah, and then what was the recovery process like from there?
Then I got slowly back into walking. I had to relearn how to walk. Never thought I'd had to do that. And yeah, just slowly progressing back into jumps. Lots of rehab. My mum bought a belt for me, and I swam in the pool. I did running. And I looked so just
stupid. Like the aqua aerobics?
I was bopping up and down to try and keep my fitness up. It didn't help much. But yeah, it was so fun. I was in the pool every day and everything. And when I was injured, I couldn't go to training because there was no point. Like, I was watching, so I did rehab instead. And it was so weird having some days where I didn't have training for like weeks at a time. It was so weird. But no, started slowly back up walking, then running. Then I was no contact for a bit, and then I got back into contact. And I didn't properly play till maybe 5 months later. After my original injury, 5-6 months later, because I was too scared I was going to do it again. Biggest thing is I've definitely learnt from injury is when I did have an injury and I came off all the medication I was put on, because my mum said I was high as hell and I felt like, oh, daisies and rainbows. I cried for weeks after. It is really not the end of the world. You get set back, you do an ACL or something like that, you can always come back from it. I've definitely seen athletes who have been through injuries a lot worse than me. I know a girl who's torn her ACL 3 times.
Oh shit.
Still playing, and she's still easily better than me. And yeah, we've been playing, she's played longer than me, but yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter how bad the injury it is, it just shows if you are mentally prepared to push through it and put the work in, you can still make it. An injury doesn't stop you, it just delays you. And sometimes it's actually really good. When I had that injury, I was starting to lose a little bit of interest in the sport. I was like, oh, I've been doing it for a while, I got a little bit bored. And just sitting on the sideline for 5 months, I was fed up. I was like, get me on the pitch. I was like winding up. First few games back, I was fired up and ready to go because I was sick of sitting on the bench. So it definitely does give you a bit more of a hunger check, which I like. But yeah, no matter what injury you have, it's never the end of your career. It's like you can still keep going. It's really good. But yeah, most kids, when they do an injury, they're like, oh, it's the end of the world, I don't do it. I go, if you work hard enough, you can come back from it.
Yeah, then you, I think, when was that window? It was like 4 or 5 months after the injury. I can't remember exactly that you signed up here. And then what was the training being like since you started here?
Oh, training here was really good. I just wanted to regain like my fitness because I did personal training before, but it was so far away from me. So here it's local. I can pick any time. I can come any day. It's so handy. And here I just slowly was regaining my strength again, ensuring I wouldn't do it again, strengthening myself so if I do make that tackle again, I'll be smarter next time so I don't do it. So I want to prevent it from happening again. And it grew my confidence coming here again because I knew my ability, I knew my strength was getting better.
Yeah, then what was one of the things we identified when you were sprinting? Do you remember the first couple of sessions? Do you remember?
I think so briefly. I remember when I couldn't sprint, my ankle, it wouldn't move forward my knee wouldn't go that far forward. I don't think I got low enough. Oh, no, I'm trying to think. There was a lot of pointers you gave me when I was sprinting.
There was one key one.
Why do I feel, is it my hips didn't go low down enough? Oh, I've got it. My foot was too far in front. It wasn't on a 90-degree angle.
Yeah, you'd overstride.
I looked like a gazelle.
Yeah, it was just like this big overstride. And then we had made the correlation that, because what position do you play?
I play midfield.
So you got the ball quite a bit, right? So when you're running with the ball, to keep the ball forward, you'd actually kick the ball forward, obviously. But your running mechanics actually adapted to the kicking as well. So you ended up keeping your feet forward when you're running. So what that can actually do is almost like increase your stride length without even you consciously knowing, which basically what had happened.
Yeah, it did. It was terrible.
So what we had to do is just kind of like bring that back. So then at least when you kick the ball is more under you, number one. And number two, you can actually maintain pace as well. Because if your foot's forward, then you've got like this braking force or deceleration force. So then it takes more effort to get going after you've actually struck the ball as well. That's why if you look at Messi or Ronaldo, when they're running, and even Haaland, they're just like one speed, literally the whole time.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, because the way they kick it is when they time it so well that the ball is actually almost underneath their body. So it's almost like they're never breaking stride.
No, they're not. It's impressive.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest things that we identified was your running technique it wasn't bad, but there's definitely a lot of things that we need to kind of change and manipulate so then you could actually be a lot faster without expending as much energy, which means then you could last a lot longer, then you could put effort where it really matters. Then you ended up, you end up kicking the ball a lot further as well. Your goals were actually coming from outside the box as well.
Were. Before that, I couldn't kick barely above the ground, and then now I'm kicking them almost near between halfway and the 30-yard box.
Yeah.
Insane.
That's crazy. Because some of your bangers are just from outside the box.
Yeah. Out
of nowhere. And then also because you're playing a little bit further up now, is that you're able to close down space a lot more. Have you found that to be a bit more of almost like a calling card essentially?
Yeah, my reaction time has definitely gotten quicker, or my reaction's still good, but my ability to react
your body's reacting to what you're seeing
quicker a lot. My mind's oh yeah, I need to go, but my body's not as quick. So it got a lot quicker. So when I was shutting down girls, they had no idea I was there. So it's my ability to get to the ball. Everyone's oh, you need to stay close to your play. I go no, I can get there.
So now you got the ability to close down space.
Yeah.
It's almost you're giving the illusion that it's almost like a trap you're setting it up for them. Yeah. Especially if you know how fast the defenders are on the other side. If they're not fast at all, you can pretty much close them down.
Easily. And midfielders aren't very quick. I only know a very few that are actually very quick and hard to keep up with. But yeah, no, midfielders are generally quite slow, so that's why I'm pretty easy at closing them down.
Speed kills is what I say. Speed kills, because that was pretty evident with. I think when the Matildas played, I think it was the game that they lost when they were in the semi. Was it in the semi? I think
Semis, against England.
Against England, and unfortunately they did get carved up in the middle by one of the girls as well. And then it's just like that really did show that speed is a huge factor, and it's I think for any girls that play soccer or any AFL for any of those sports, get faster, literally.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the real skill deficit that a lot of the girls lack, and that will help really kind of like better showcase your skills. And also from a tactical perspective, you'll be able to close down space faster. You'll be able to create more opportunities for you girls. And then you probably would have noticed that you're just creating more space.
Yeah.
And more attacking opportunities.
It was. Like, you could be the most talented and technical player in the world, but if you're good with your speed, you can get around anyone with speed. You just take a few touches and you just round them easily. Speed is definitely a very good quality to have when playing.
That's good. Then I guess let's go to emerging Matildas. You get selected for it, you lose your mind. What happens then? Well,
started end of last year. I got asked for a trial, and I was like, because I've been trialling with that team for ages. I got asked or invited. My mum got an email saying that, great, we want Gracie to trial. And I'm like, it's pretty cool. I've been trialling to get into NTC, the past 5 years. Ever since I made rep, I always tried to make their team, but I never was like good enough to make it. And I trialed. I had 1 or 2 trials. Then we didn't know what happened. They're like, no, we want you to come back. So I came back with the team, and it was really awkward because I knew most of the girls in the team, and they're like, so you in the team? I go like, no, I'm still trialling. And all the trials for everything was over, so it was really weird. Trialed, and then I waited. Right before I went to the US, I had a bit of a sore knee from overtraining, so I couldn't do one of the last trials. And when I was in the US, I kind of had to, I think it was the day before I left the US, I found out I got in. And they asked for a Zoom call, and they were like, okay. And my mum was freaking out. We were both freaking out. We were like, oh no, what is this about? And I thought it was going to be like an interview. But no, it was like a sale pitch to them. They were trying to pitch it to me. And I was like, oh my God, I felt so special.
Yeah.
They were like, so we really want you here, we really want you there. The only downside was I got signed to play as a centre-back, not as a midfielder. So I'm a centre-back now. And I'm like, well, the training is very high quality, and I still am not playing the position I prefer, but we move around a lot. Like, our coach wants us to learn more than one position, because then it looks like we're a more valuable player. So I'm like, that makes sense. So I might be able to shift around and play midfield, or you might see me in goalkeeper or up on the wing. Who knows? Not goalkeeper. I can't keep. But yeah, so that's how I kind of got into it. Yeah, that's really it.
That's crazy. And then you mentioned the US as well. What did you do in the US?
I went over to San Diego, and I played a tournament over there for surf. It was called the Surf College Cup. So we took a team over there, and we played a few games against some US girls. Their accents are so weird, but they're very sweet people. Some of the teams.
Depends where they're from, the accents. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but there were a few teams. They were a little bit salty because we won.
Oh wow.
Yeah. US, the girls are so rough and physical, but they've got really crap technical abilities. Like, their touches and passes were terrible.
They consider they're like, what, top 3, top 5 in the nation?
Yes.
Oh, in the world, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, they're true. So I went over there, and we had a few scouts look at us. A few scouts had a look at me, but they can't come up to me. They went up to my coach, because you can't have scouts going up to you.
Yeah, the rules are really odd with the NCAA
in
terms of who you can talk to and whatnot.
Because scouts can manipulate you. It's like here as well. Coaches can't talk to players as well from here. They have to talk to like a parent or somewhere else. I don't know. They can't talk directly to you to pick up players, because it's
unless it's like an invitation where everyone has like an equal opportunity or something like that, and talk in general terms.
Exactly. Otherwise, a coach could like screw you over easily and say, you can have all of this, all of that, and then you only get like a tiny bit of what they said. So
yeah, it's all
just words.
Cool. And then how long were you there for, and how many games did you play? I
was there for just over a week, I think a week and a half, and I played, 4 games. Across, 4 games.
And then in terms of the players, where were they from? Are they all from Victoria, from Australia?
There was one from New South Wales, me and one of my mates, who's been playing since she was 4, came with me from Victoria, and the rest were from Queensland. Bloody hell, they were tan.
Yeah.
I was very jealous.
Oh, there's the weather for it.
Exactly.
Up there as well. Then no news from them or anything like that in terms of like the colleges or anything like that moving forward?
Nothing yet. I haven't heard anything. They've been talking to my coach, but my coach has been setting up girls who have already finished high school, like to get them ready to go to the US college, and then he prioritizes those girls first, and then it's going to come to us. So
yeah, because you do have like an eight month window as well from when school does start. Because when you finish school here, it's in December, and they start school. I think it's in August. Yeah. In their fall or spring for us.
Oh, it's really odd. So yeah, he definitely wanted to prioritise those girls, which is absolutely understandable. Because I've got a year and 8 months till that happens. But yeah, I wasn't that stressed. So we're still waiting on him. Well, I think we're gonna have a meeting with him soon to just discuss what's going on and everything.
Just like next steps, what to do, what to focus on.
Yeah, because definitely US is definitely something I'm very interested to go over and have a look at.
Yeah. Then, I guess, what does the future hold?
I have no idea. Everyone's been asking me recently, like, what do you want to do when you're old and everything? And my honest answer is, I've got no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. I'd love to just go to US and just figure something out.
Just go play college ball or something like that?
All I want to do is just play, that's it.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of the sport. That's why I joined.
Well, I think the interesting thing is like now there's been, I think the Women's World Cup really illustrated when I was in Australia and New Zealand, I guess the full-time opportunities that's coming up with it as well. Obviously you got the EPL, I think the Women's League as well, because you got Sam Kerr's playing over there. There's a few Aussies are playing over there as well. The US, they have their Major League Soccer, or the women's version of that. That's really becoming a bit more of a thing now. I think Natalie Portman, for those that don't know, she's an actor. She was in Thor, the love interest of Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, she actually, it's the Seattle team, I think she owns.
Is it? Yeah.
I think one of the teams, but there's definitely a lot of investment in female sport. It's becoming
100%.
More of a viable opportunity. I think it's still got a long way to go, but I think they're on a upward trajectory in that sense as well. So it's more about continue going up and making it sustainable. Yeah. Moving forward.
It's better than Australia.
Yeah, I think Australia still has, I think with the W League, they've still got a long way to go. But I think if you look at the population, you got 360 to 400 million people in America versus here was 26, 27 million people. Then in the UK, I don't know what's in the UK, but they're very it's very like soccer and cricket, like the two big sports over in the UK. So obviously they're going to spend a lot of money if that's their sport. And if you look at the APL and how much money is there, and then even the Women's League over there, you got I think in Europe you got opportunities over there as well.
Yeah, there is.
In the US, you got NIL deals, so name, image, and likeness, so you can actually make money in college in the US now. So there's heaps of opportunities in terms of endorsements moving forward, but
there's a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, I think if you stick down the soccer route and just continue to go one step at a time, focus on what's in front of you, I think you'll get where you really want to be. But just sticking it one step at a time and just I think the biggest thing is, I think there's two key lessons. Number one, you surrounded yourself with the right people. You moved away when you needed to. I think that was probably the big thing for you in terms of your own junior development. Then number two, and a lot of people don't really know this, is a bit more research coming out, is when you're playing in the bottom age of any group, those are the kids that actually have a greater likelihood of performing well later when they get older, because they always had to play catch up in order to fight a little bit harder for more of a tactical sense, because they might be undersized. That's usually the reason why those kids tend to do a little bit better in their careers, or have a great likelihood of doing better, versus the kids that have always been talented all the way through. And as soon as puberty hits, everyone catches up. It's an equal playing field after that point. I'll leave it there. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, share, even review as well. It really does help us. We want to make sure we spread the word on youth athlete development. Made the prediction in 2022 that this was going to be a bigger thing. Obviously it is now. More parents are investing in their kids' development, like your parents are. Shout out to your mum, Cassie.
Yes, thanks, Mum. She's in the car.
Yeah, I know she's waiting in the car very patiently. Until the next one, I'll see you on the next one.
You have just listened to the Inner Athlete podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the release of weekly episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get great tips on all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.